Greetings, rebels to King George, curious others, and vacation planners. Just got back from a 7-day vacation there, and I'm doing it in a corner of my house that is for two reasons. It's a little Key Westy in terms of its Caribbean colors, but also our air conditioning broke last night about 10 p.m. So it's kind of warm in our house, so I've got a cloth. And it's going to be in the lower 100s today in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. My house is already up to 88 degrees, so I couldn't do it in my normal computer corner that I normally work in. So anyhow, we are beach people. We like to go to the Caribbean for the beaches and for the water and for a little bit of snorkeling, but primarily to be on the beach or in the waves. And so we went to Key West with that in mind, and it turns out that is not what Key West is for. Key West is the kind of destination that you pick if you're going to drink all day in bars, or you want to go out on a boat to go fishing, or maybe to go out on a boat to go fishing and drinking all day, or perhaps scuba or snorkeling all day, obviously from a boat. So it's not really a beach lover's paradise destination. And so I wanted to kind of do this video for that purpose, to give a little bit of forewarning to other people if that was what they were heading to that part of Florida for. You're much wiser to stay in the north, in the Pensacola, Fort Walton Beach, or even the Alabama Shores area, where you're going to have the beautiful, beautiful white sand beaches, the turquoise water, and the waves to do body surfing or the boogie board surfing with. That's not what you go to Key West for. Beware when you're looking at hotels and resorts in the Keys. When they say they have a beach and they call it a sunning beach, like our resort did, what that means is there's sand, and they will set some chairs on it, lounge chairs, maybe some umbrellas, probably not though. And so you go there and get a tan or get a burn, whatever. And then if you want to get in the water, you go back and you get in their pool or in their hot tub. And in the case of the Banana Bay Resort, the pool was in essence like a hot tub. We never determined whether or not it was heated, but it was in the lower 90s, so it was definitely not a very refreshing thing to do after sitting in the sun. So, or even in the evenings. Also, their poolside bar was never open, so you're pretty much on your own there. But the one good thing about it was a little less probably than half price of most of the other name hotels like the Marriotts and the Hiltons and things like that. And certainly in the historic part of Key West, the inns and things like that, I imagine, probably start at about $300 a night, and they do not have sandy beaches either. There are 2 or 3 small sandy beaches in Key West proper. We visited them the first evening we were there and were not impressed. They are not pretty. The facilities, if they had them, were few and far between, and the parking on Key West is very expensive, and you're going to need a lot of coins if you park on the street, and you're going to get about 10 minutes per quarter, so be prepared for that. But at the little beaches there, actually on Key West, there were very few parking spaces, so that's another difficulty. A lot of people ride bicycles on the Key, and so they don't need to be so worried about finding parking spaces. The streets are very narrow also. So what we did do, we fortunately found back up the Keys at mile marker 37 is a Florida state park called Bahia Honda State Park. Beautiful beaches, nice facilities, covered pavilions, a few on both sides of the key, and it is Bahia Honda Key, oddly enough. But you need to get there early to get a covered pavilion. And you're going to want shade, so if you aren't going to make it to get a pavilion, then you need to make sure you have one of those beach umbrellas that you can buy. So anyway, so that's what we did. We went to the state park at least 4 days of our 7-day vacation, and had a really nice time there. We brought our own snacks and cold drinks, but they do have a snack bar there and a concession stand, and they have a small shop. If you were unable to fit your snorkel gear or just decided not to bring it and then you change your mind, they have some for sale there, not terribly expensive. But anyway, so that was our beach experience in Key West, and my husband did find me a nice souvenir beach glass that someone abandoned one day in the sand, and it's a nice heavy acrylic, and I measured it today. It holds 16 ounces, but if you fill it with ice, a small bottle of wine, my preference was champagne, fits over that exactly, so it makes a really nice thing to have on the beach. So now in terms of dining, which is very expensive in Key West, as you can imagine, wanted to give you our recommendations of some of the really nice places we found. Very casual walk-up kind of a stand place called the Cuban Coffee Queen is at 234 Margaret Street. Now they do deliver to your hotel in town, so that's kind of cool because there's no real area to dine there. They have a couple of benches just outside of the little shack that they have. So you can sit there if you get there early and snag a bench. But they have obviously great coffee, the great Cuban strong coffee, and they make panini sandwiches, breakfast sandwiches, and then regular sandwiches like BLTs and pulled pork and things like that. So that's really a nice casual place and good prices. The other place that we ate that we really, really liked that was inexpensive was the Half Shell Raw Bar, 231 Margaret Street, and that's right on the water, right, a part of the historic waterfront, it's called. And many of the restaurants on the historic waterfront are very, very expensive. But the Half Shell Raw Bar has a happy hour from 4:30 to 6:30, like a lot of other places do, if not most of the others, where they have their oysters half price. So you can get 1 dozen fresh raw oysters for only $6, and that is a steal. And everything else that we had there in addition to the oysters was very, very good. Their calamari was excellent. Their onion strings were perfectly done. We had a crab cake dinner one night that was lovely, a little spicy for me, but you could tell it was homemade. And their tuna is excellent, and everything they do, plus happy hour, $1.50 for a bottle of beer. You can't go wrong with that. So that's the Half Shell Raw Bar, 231 Margaret Street in Key West. And then the other place that we went for dinner that we were very, very pleased with is called Duffy's Steak and Lobster House. I don't have the address right on my receipt here, but you won't be able to miss it. It is a restaurant that's adjacent to another more famous one called Pisces, which is a very upscale fine dining establishment. And we found out that Duffy's shares the kitchen with Pisces from the gentleman at the Key Largo Visitors Information Center that gave me this really cool map of the Keys. And I went and I marked at the different mile markers some of the interesting things or good places to eat or good sightseeing spots that I found on our trip on it. So that was Duffy's Steak and Lobster House. shares the kitchen with Pisces. And the prices are much less. The atmosphere is less formal, though still nice. And I had the shrimp scampi with the garlic wine butter sauce, which was delicious. My husband had he had the filet mignon, which was perfect, and our daughter had the Florida lobster tail, which was very good. And we chose to have steamed vegetables, and so it was practically an entire head of steamed broccoli that was just lovely. So we had their key lime pie, which was really, really good too. So I can't recommend Duffy's highly enough. The half-shell raw bar, equally highly recommended, and the Cuban Coffee Queen, very highly recommended in Key West, Florida. But again, we wouldn't go to Key West and would not recommend beach lovers who are going there to spend their days on the beach in the waves, swimming or body surfing, cannot recommend Key West for that. So thanks for listening, and keep rebelling.